President.
Senator from Illinois is recognized.
Mr. President, let me begin by joining the senator from Alabama in expressing my concern with her for what happened in Texas Hill Country, the flooding over the weekend. It was a sad chapter in our nation's history and a tragic chapter in the history of these families. Our hearts and prayers are with them. Mr. President, on a different topic, July 4th was the signing of the big, beautiful bill. That's what President Trump called it. Congressional Republicans celebrated. I did not. I oppose this legislation because what it did, I think, is going to hurt a lot of families. Taking health insurance away from 17 million Americans, taking food assistance away from millions as well, is no way for the United States to act when it comes to needy families. Have you ever been without health insurance? Ever been at a point where you went to a hospital and didn't have health insurance? I have. I was a law student here in Washington. My second year, God sent my wife and myself a beautiful little baby girl who had a serious health condition. I ended up at Children's Hospital in D.C. here in a waiting room, not knowing who was going to walk through that door, what doctor would come into that room and treat my child. I didn't have anything to say about it. I had no health insurance. I was at their mercy. Good people responded, but it's a time in my life I will never, ever forget. For the President to sign a bill on the 4th of July that takes health insurance away from 17 million people is just plain wrong. Obamacare, the medical program that was initiated under President Obama, extended health insurance coverage to more than 20 million new families, gave them peace of mind of knowing they were covered if something serious occurred, a cancer diagnosis, a serious trauma, they were covered. This president celebrates taking away health insurance from 17 million people. To cut Medicaid like that is to cause terrible personal consequences to a family. But it's more than that. Make no mistake, a family without health insurance in a desperate situation is going to do two things: postpone medical care that is needed because they can't afford it, or show up in an emergency situation at a hospital and beg for coverage and care. That's going to happen. So what happens to the hospital that provides that care? In most places in America, the hospital will do its best to help the family. But the net result is the hospital's not going to be paid because there's no health insurance plan. And if they're not paid, what do they do with the expenses of that treated patient? They pass them along to other families. So this big, beautiful bill that the president signed takes health insurance away from 17 million families under Medicaid and raises the cost of health care for the rest of us. How can that be a good idea? And why would we do such a thing? Well, the reasoning was very simple and direct. The president wanted to renew tax cuts for the wealthiest people in America. The wealthiest people. Oh, Durbin, you're making that up. You're a Democrat. You're just going to say that no matter if it's true or not. Here's what it boils down to. Elon Musk got a $346,000 tax break by President Trump signing this bill into law. Do you think he noticed? A man who's a multi-billionaire? Probably didn't. Didn't change his life one bit. But the family without health insurance, you changed their life a lot. This time, President Trump has come back with a new idea that I want to discuss here today. The president has come to Congress' doorstep with a bill called a rescission bill. One of my colleagues at lunch said, we need a new word. I know what rescission is. He knows what rescission is, but the American people may not. It sounds like a foreign word, he said. It does in a way, but it's a legal term. And it's a request to cut funding already appropriated. So money appropriated by Congress, signed by a president, sent to the administration, they decide they're not going to spend, they're going to rescind it, a rescission bill. So here comes President Trump's first rescission bill in his second term. And what does he come up with? This request would cut $1.1 billion from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Do you listen to public radio, public TV? Are you aware of what it does for your community? This would eliminate any federal assistance for a Corporation for Public Broadcasting. It includes $700 million that's eliminated, to provide critical funding for local public media. This would devastate more than 1,500 public radio and TV stations across this country. Bottom line, do you think we're better off with less information as Americans or more? Bottom line, do you want a choice to pick your own source of information? Do you want that choice to include Corporation for Public Broadcasting? The president says, no, we're not going to provide the assistance for that to continue. What it means is for small towns in downstate Illinois, all the way up to Chicago, and the classrooms there, public media stations provide essential, nonpartisan news coverage, life-saving emergency and weather alerts, and educational program for our kids. I don't know the circumstances in Texas for this terrible flooding, and I don't want to presume anything. But as a general rule, more emergency information available to American families is better than worse. President Trump wants to eliminate this source, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And that means in many communities in my state of Illinois and around the country, the radio will be silent when it might be giving a warning that extreme weather is on the way. For most rural communities, this local broadcasting is especially crucial. Rural public broadcasting stations are often the only source of local news, the only source of emergency alerts in the region. These local stations also are truly independent. They reflect the needs of their community and the people that they serve. They go out of their way to be nonpartisan. I know because I've dealt with them for decades. For example, let me tell you one station, WTVP, local PBS affiliate serving Central Illinois. They have a program called A Shot of Ag, which shares stories and perspectives on farming, farm life, and the rural-urban divide in my state. I am proud to be a downstater. I'm proud as well to represent the city of Chicago. Why would I want to cut off information for the downstate farming community that is available through public broadcasting? Right now, in my home state of Illinois, there are 5 counties out of the 102 counties that are news deserts. 40 other counties have 1 news source left for broadcast. This rescissions package would eliminate $700 million in support of local radios and TV stations, forcing many of these rural stations with small donor bases to close, turn them off, be unavailable to the people who live in the community. In these remote Illinois counties, these stations deliver critical services that commercial broadcasters have abandoned in less profitable markets. What does it mean? Once these stations are gone, they're gone. It changes the culture, the information, the future. And in times of crisis, that could mean in the extreme the difference between life and death. Let me explain. Radio stations in Alaska rely on Corporation for Public Broadcasting to fund 98% of their operations. They will lose the ability to share information about terrible weather conditions that are threatening the people of Alaska. In Alabama, the senator was just here from Alabama, folks will go without emergency alerts during tornado scares. And just this last weekend, as I mentioned, a deadly flash flood took the lives of over 100 people and counting, sadly, in rural central Texas. While we don't know exactly what procedures were in place, we do know that this funding is vital for emergency alerts, especially when disasters happen in the middle of the night. These are critical services, but President Trump doesn't agree. In his request to Congress, he justified cutting Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and here's what he said. Federal spending on Corporation for Public Broadcasting subsidizes a public media system that is politically biased and is an unnecessary expense to the taxpayer. If your family is warned of an extreme weather condition on the way and you find a safe place, it is necessary, it is essential as part of your responsibility to your family to protect this source of information. These public-funded local stations educate our kids, deliver emergency alerts, and inform our democracy. They're not an unnecessary expense by any measure. They're a lifeline. I'd like to share a story about the NPR affiliate WGLT, a public radio station owned by the Illinois State University serving Normal, Illinois. WGLT hosts candidate events and forums ahead of each election. Their mission is to keep neighbors connected and talking to each other. Its goal is to keep polarization out of local government, and it does just that. WGLT had 100% bipartisan participation from candidates in McLean County municipal election event. In McLean County, municipal voter turnout has increased in local elections thanks to this public broadcasting station. For the president to say they're politically biased is just plain false. Another station, WQPT, Quad Cities in Illinois, only locally owned PBS station, serving Iowa and eastern and western Illinois. It is more than just a TV station. WQPT's First Book Club outreach program provides 5 free books every year to at-risk kids by partnering with Title I classrooms. They ensure the kids whose families can't afford to buy books or might otherwise not have access are given the opportunity to read and learn just like every other kid. Since the start of the program, WQPT has given away 400,000 free books to kids from low-income, English as second language, rural, and special needs families. That is what Donald Trump calls a, quote, unnecessary expense to a taxpayer. It could be life-changing for that kid. While Donald Trump says this rescission request is in the spirit of improving government efficiency, I ask, is there anything efficient about denying information to American citizens, about not giving American citizens a choice when it comes to broadcasting? I'll tell you what this request really is. It's an attack on rural America, just like the big, beautiful bill. Because let's not forget, thanks to the big, beautiful bill the president just signed into law, 300 rural hospitals could close around this country, closing their doors and critical services they offer. With this rescission request, small towns and rural communities are going to get hit again and set to lose their only access to trusted local media in many instances. These cuts could irreparably harm communities across America who count on public media for 24/7 news, music, education program, and emergency alert services. I urge my Republican colleagues, privately they tell me they don't want to see Corporation for Public Broadcasting go away. The question is, will they step up next week and vote that way? Many of them represent rural areas, small town America. To stand up for these people and vote down this request to cut funding that has long enjoyed bipartisan support. I believe that there will be bipartisan support for this. I urge my colleagues to come to the floor today to speak on the subject, and I'm now going to yield the floor to one of my colleagues. I believe Senator Wyden of Oregon is next. Senator Wyden, take it away.
Mr. President, before you